in my life, I've never had that. I've never had a friend that like would drop anything for me. And for you to just drop everything, show up for me, it meant more to me than you could ever imagine. We had moved into my parents' house while they were on a mission for our church. You guys just happened to be in that same congregation. My first impressions was, man, this guy's a douche. He's got an ego through the roof. But little did I know, after getting to know you, you had confidence. You had the mindset that you could do anything.
We certainly weren't friends right away, right? Like, I'm not sure if it was our wives that started spending more time together that kind of forced us to get closer.
I think it was the barbecues or the get-togethers. We went to your house and swam. I had asked you to go to lunch because I had my IT stuff on the side that I was doing. And then gradually over time, it was the catalyst of the whole friendship.
It's like that 2 a.m. phone call friend. Yeah. I can call you anytime, any place, and I can tell you where the bodies are buried, and you're going to be like, cool, what can I do? What can I do to help? I'm there, kind of things.
A little over a year ago, I had a 10-minute long grand mal seizure, basically collapsed at work. And I remember my wife, Ashley, calling you and saying, hey, Heston had this. And you dropped all of your meetings that day. You drove to the hospital. You waited. Ashley was like, he's okay. We're going to get out soon. You're welcome to go home. And you're like, no, I'm here for Heston. I know how busy you are and how important a lot of those meetings are. And for you to just drop everything, show up for me, it meant more to me than you could ever imagine.
I think another big one for us is like the love for another friend is so deep. That doesn't mean that the relationship is purely rainbows and unicorns, but it comes from such a deep place of like love and wanting to see you do well in life. That's an understated quality of just like really true friends. Heston Moyers, it's happening. Welcome to the Roller Coaster Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So this episode is going to be a little unique because the majority of guests I would say that I have on the show are not personal friends of mine. So I happen to know your story and you probably as intimately well as maybe anybody else in the world. And, I'm happy that we decided to do this. So today we're going to talk about an experience you had in 2020 where you were in a car wreck. I think for the theme of the roller coaster, it's important to have a story to share. And then, I think we'll use the rest of our time talking about just our relationship and when we first met and the brotherhood and the bond that we've developed and levels and, just kind of how your life has transformed in the last couple of years. So, so let's go to that story, maybe just share kind of the events or details of that day and how that would ultimately change your perspective on life.
Yeah. So I was in California, took a trip there with my father-in-law for business just to help him out with some computer stuff because that's my background. We spent the day doing things at a convention, kind of just doing business stuff. And then we were debating on whether to drive back that night and just drive through the night and get home or stay at a hotel. So we decided, let's just drive home. It's early enough. We'll get home by midnight, 1 o'clock. It should be fine. We're going down the freeway in not the HOV lane, but the lane next to it. And out of nowhere, we get nailed from behind. Guy probably going 90 to 100 miles an hour. Hits us and we swerve across 4 lanes of traffic. Don't hit anybody. The car flips 3.5 times. So we land with the roof on the ground and slide down into the dirt. The other guy's car flies through the same 4 lanes of traffic and jumps up and rolls over into the dirt as well. It was a crazy, surreal experience. I don't know how I didn't get hurt. I walked away with not a scratch, not a bruise, nothing on me. My father-in-law at that point I was making sure he was okay because I knew I was okay. We're hanging upside down. I get my seatbelt off. I take his seatbelt off and I'm helping him out of the car, making sure there's no other cars going to hit us or anything like that. And by the time I get him out of the car, people had stopped, helped us out, called the ambulance and things like that. My father-in-law ended up fracturing his lower spine. And I had lost my phone, my wallet, everything flew out of the car, never found any of it. Couldn't find anything other than our luggage miraculously was fine. And at that point, my father-in-law's then ambulance to the hospital. A good Samaritan stopped and he's like, "Hey, how can I help? What can I do?" He's like, "Do you need a phone or anything?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have my phone." We eventually found my father-in-law's phone, and I was able to communicate with family members that we're okay. My father-in-law, or he's going to the hospital. We're going to make sure he's okay. The guy drove me to the hospital. Waited the entire time. My father-in-law got out. They did x-rays. They saw that it was a fracture. They got him out. The guy picked us up, took us to a motel, waited for us to get into the room. We ended up just staying the night, renting a car, driving home. And turns out the guy that hit us was severely under the influence. Got taken to prison, or got taken to jail, was released the next day, and is now on the run from the police. We just received a notice the other day that they're still looking for him. So it was definitely a eye-opening experience. I would say it kind of was a turning point around that time 5 years ago, that, I was not necessarily not happy, but there weren't a lot of things going for me. There weren't, it was, I was overweight. I wasn't super happy. And that was kind of the turning point. And then shortly after that, we had met and then developed our friendship from there.
Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, I think one of the main lessons to take out of that is just that good Samaritan, right? Like, I feel like God gives us these sort of opportunities all the time, and I'm not great at acting on them a lot of the times. And I wish I was better at acting on them, right? Because I think he puts those sort of people in place that are prepared to help when help is needed. And I think that's a good reminder for us here and really everybody listening that, like, when you see an opportunity to help somebody that's in need, like, go do it, right? Have you kept in contact with that guy by chance?
I haven't. So I didn't have my phone, and I didn't exchange numbers with him with my father-in-law's
Wow.
phone. So I never met him, but he had, because I was so out of it. I was so disoriented. I didn't know what to do. I had lost all of my stuff. I didn't even have, like, we needed to rent a rental car. My father-in-law can't drive. I'm the one that has to drive. I lost my wallet. I don't have any credit cards or debit cards, or I don't have any way to pay for this. I had nothing. So it was a very crazy experience. We ended up talking to the rental car company. They added me as a driver on. My father-in-law rented the car. And I wish I could get in contact with him. I don't even remember his name. It was honestly like, it was like an angel.
Yeah.
And it's like, it couldn't have been a better experience to have him there, to drive me to the hospital, and he had his wife and kids with him. And he's like, "Hey, they're going to take a while to get everything situated here. Let me go drop my wife and kids off at home and I'll be right back." And he came back himself in his truck. He loaded up all of our personal belongings into his truck. He picked me up. We went to the hospital, and it was just, and I wish I could reach out to him, but I don't even remember his name. I don't remember his information, anything.
Wow. Yeah. You also, for those listening, produce the podcast. And so you've listened to every episode. You've been in the room for most of the episodes. And there's a common theme with people who go through really bad accidents like this, that there are people that show up that it's a lot of times like unexplainable. Like, was that a real person? Did that really happen? I have that with myself. Like, we happen to know this person now really well, Ashley, who
Mhm.
kind of showed up in our lives, um, really as an angel to our family. And with Jeremy Wilson's story and so many others, it's with Charlotte's story. It's like these
Mhm.
people just appear and they're there and they do these amazing heroic acts of service, and then they just like disappear and they go on with their lives. Um, so I don't think it's a coincidence that tends to be a theme, right?
Yeah.
I think the origin of us meeting is unique and kind of funny. The way that you described meeting me for the first time. So, like, what was, maybe set the stage for first time that we met and sort of what you were thinking.
Yeah. So we had moved into my parents' house while they were on a mission for our church. And we went to the congregation that day or the following weeks. And you guys just happened to be in that same congregation because you had moved into a rental house waiting for your house to be built. Um, Ended up the house wasn't actually going to be in the boundaries of that area. So it was definitely a crazy situation of how you happened to be in
Yeah.
that congregation at that time. And my first impressions was, man, this guy's a douche. This guy he's got an ego through the roof. But little did I know, after getting to know you, it's I think it's something that was put off for me. Was you had confidence, you had you had the mindset that you could do anything, and I didn't have that at the time. And so anyone who did have that, it was like, they shouldn't, why do they have to act like that, or why do they have to look like that, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was definitely like now that we're really good friends, it was an eye opening of like, okay, I need to understand where I'm at and look at people in a different way, because there's no way I could have known that we would have been really good friends at that point.
Yeah. How do you think our relationship, like, I still sometimes have a hard time putting a finger on how it developed the way that it did, right? Because like we certainly weren't friends right away, right? Like, I'm not sure if it was our wives that started spending more time together that kind of forced us to get closer, but like, what do you remember about our relationship early on starting to take shape?
Yeah, I think it was the barbecues or the get-togethers of like when you guys were at that house in Montalena. It was, we went to your house and swam with the cruises. The cruises were there. Um, and we had kind of talked, and you had talked about business, and that's how I kind of got to know you. I had asked you to go to lunch to kind of, because I had my IT stuff on the side that I was doing, and I wanted to kind of take that further. And I knew you had a lot of experience. So I was like, hey, do you mind if I take you to lunch and we can kind of talk through some stuff? And then gradually over time, it was, all of that. And then it ended up being levels. And that was kind of I guess, the catalyst of the whole friendship, like really becoming the way it is now.
Yeah. 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 I think it's interesting because um, I talk a lot about this idea called circle management. And it's the idea that all of us have a sacred inner circle that we only have a certain amount of capacity for, right? And I think most people probably have 3 to 5 people in that like really sacred inner circle at any given time. But I think it's designed to change as well. Doesn't has to change, doesn't have to change, but it can, and oftentimes it does. And I think the main um, mechanism for how it works is the people in your sacred inner circle. There should be a mutual exchange of value that's being delivered in the relationship. Any great relationship, it's two-sided. It can't be one-sided, or it wouldn't be a relationship. And I think when you think about value, it's sort of like, what do I need in my life? and what can I give in return,
Mm-hmm.
right? And for everybody that's different, right? And so for me, it's always been, or not, it hasn't always been, but it's like there's relationships that are sort of purely monetary, like financial.
Yeah.
I can give you something financial, you can give me something in return. There's relationships that are based around happiness and like laughing, right? So I have certain friends that like I just enjoy being around them because we have a good time. It could be, they provide some sort of useful skill to each other. It could be you're a great listener, you're there when I need you, or what have you, right? And so there's sort of different things that all of us need and different things that we can contribute back to those people in that sacred inner circle. And sometimes like on paper it doesn't make sense, right? Like we're different in a lot of ways, right? Like we don't have exactly the same interests. We don't we're not like professionally we do very different things, and so like on paper it's not a perfect fit. But I think as I got to know you better, I realized that you were somebody who um, is just incredibly reliable, maybe one of the most reliable people I've ever had in my life. And so, and also have a skill set that you've developed, which is you're one of these guys that truly can figure anything out, right? So, and I think a lot of people say I have that, I can figure anything out. It's like, no, there's like levels to that too. And so, for me, it was like, dude, anytime I needed help, whether I asked you or not, it's like you would either pick up on, hey, you probably need some help, let me come help you. Or I knew I could just call you and be like, hey, I'm stuck on this thing, or I need help with this thing. And like many instances where I just called and said, hey, dude, like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Can you come help? Can you come help change the projector bulb, or help with the lock on my latch gate to my pool, or set up the studio, or
build a cologne shelf.
build a cologne I mean, like this list is pretty endless. And, so for me, I found that to be just that reliability, having somebody that I knew was, and this has taken time for us to, I think, develop this, but, it's like um, Eric just talked about it. It's like that 2 a.m. phone call friend. Yeah. Like, I think everybody needs one or two of those, where it's like, I can call you anytime, any place, and I can tell you where the bodies are buried, and you're going to be like, cool, what can I do? What can I do to help? I'm there, kind of thing. So,
and I can share an experience from that. When a little over a year ago, I had a 10-minute long grand mal seizure. Basically collapsed at work, had no don't remember it at all. I was out for probably half an hour, not remembering anything. And I remember my wife, Ashley, calling you and saying, hey, Heston had this. And you dropped all of your meetings that day. You drove to the hospital. You waited. And Ashley was like, he's okay. We're going to get out soon. You're welcome to go home. And you're like, no, I'm here for Heston. Whatever you guys need, let me know. And the following day, you text Ashley and said, hey, can I come over and just see Heston and just be there? And in my life, I've never had that. I've never had a friend that like would drop anything for me. Yeah, I've met people that are friends, and I can call them if I need something or talk to them. But most of the time it's just family members. And to have someone that would just, because I know I see your schedule. I know how busy you are and how important a lot of those meetings are. And for you to just drop everything, show up for me, it meant more to me than you could ever imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's like, it's easy, to make those sort of decisions and do that is easier for friends who like reciprocate that sort of love, So it's not like I would do that for anybody, right? I wish I was that way, but I've sort of chosen to let people into my life and let them get super close to me. And for those people, um, I'd do anything for them. And I think it's the same with you. And, we had to kind of bridge into the levels experience that we had as part of that. Like we rallied this group of guys together that was all new brothers to you to chip in
Yeah.
some money to help out. And, pretty much everybody in the group graciously, contributed. Um, and that was cool for me to see, and just to get to be like the I guess organizer of those funds, and try to help you guys out in a
Yeah.
time of need. So talk to me about that levels experience. I know not just the event, but like even leading up to the event, there was some resistance, maybe not from you, but from like certain family members and things like that, where it was like, what is this? Like a bunch of guys are going to get together in Sedona. Like, so what was your experience like sort of leading up to that event? And then, what were some of the memories that you had?
Yeah. I'm a lot different than the rest of my family. My parents are very, not against it, but self-help stuff, or retreats and things like that are bogus, I guess. And so I was super excited about it. And I, of course, when you're excited about something, you want to share it with people, that this is what you're doing. You're so excited to do it. And I didn't get the feedback that I thought I would from family members, and which is fine. It's family. But I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. It was, you know, it was probably the turning point in my life. Prior to that, I was 55 pounds heavier than I am today. I mentally wasn't doing well. I was stuck, not progressing, and that gave me the mindset, the motivation to see all of these men at different stages in their life and in different successes in their life, to be able to be on the same level as them and to get to know them more on a personal level and grow friendships together. And some of the experiences of breath work and things like that, it was incredible.
Yeah. What's like what's one or two kind of moments or experiences that are profound that came out of that for you?
Yeah, so I would say breathwork was probably one of the most amazing things I've ever done.
Yeah, that journey was unlike anything I've ever done.
And to share personally what I got out of it is, at that time I didn't have a lot of self-worth. I didn't feel like I was good enough for anything. And through that breathwork journey, I was able to meet my younger self and like wrap my arms around him and tell him that he's enough, that he can do anything, and just seeing vividly that the trials and the things that have gone on in my life, that I can get through them, and that I'm enough, and that I can do anything that I put my mind to. If I have the drive and the ability to do it, I can do it. So that was a great experience at the Levels retreat.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty epic. And it's been like 18 months now.
Yeah.
Since that happened. So, if you look back at the last 18 months of your life, I think a lot of these, I think maybe one of the reasons even for myself, I look at some of these retreats and I just am like, like another retreat. And I'm sure a lot of them are just that. It's packed with motivation and other things, but there's not a lot of actionable insight that you can take out of these things. And so, men tend to fall back into old habits or behaviors or bad cycles or things like that. And there's actually no change that takes place. But like I've seen a lot of change with you. So what are some of the things that you would say from that retreat that you've like really implemented in your life that have gotten you to where you're at today?
Yeah. I so I remember we did the rucks on the mountain, and I was struggling. I thought I was strong enough to do anything, and I mean, doing push-ups with a weighted vest on, like I couldn't do it. I was barely getting through the 3 or 4 or 5 push-ups, and when you guys were like, "Hey, let's do 20 push-ups," and it's like, I don't even think I'd ever done 20 push-ups in a row, and that was a huge eye-opening of, I need to be healthier, not only for me, but for my 3 kids and my wife. And from that moment on, it was, now I'm the gym every day. I eat healthier. I'm no longer drinking energy drinks, things that can hinder the progression of the health in your body. Also in business as well. Me and you starting other businesses together, the podcast studio, ramping up the IT consulting, things that I could have potentially figured out on my own, but having you there to kind of guide me through it has been amazing. And I know, my life in the last 18 months has changed a lot, but because of that, I know that it's going to change even more over the next several years. Just because of the change of thought process of the things going on in my mind. It was, I would put things off. I would stop doing things because I would get into my head of like, this is never going to happen. And now I have the confidence of saying, I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to do it and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and getting to the point to where it'll be huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Even, I mean, look, I've just seen such a big change in the way that you show up, the level of confidence that now you have, that you're maybe starting to develop still, your work ethic. And not that before you didn't work hard, but I think the things that you give energy to, like how you apply your work, is much more productive now than it used to be, right? Like, we've talked about, like, you used to be pretty into video games. Yeah. You'd play a decent amount of video games. Like, when was the last time you played a video game? Like, it's not that often anymore.
It's been, I play the occasional Fortnite match with my son.
Yeah.
But the last time I sat down and actually played a video game with friends, it's probably been 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
That desire's gone. And I remember you telling me, I remember
this too.
Just wait, that desire to do that, it will go away. And it was like, for my birthdays or for Father's Day, like I would tell my wife, like, I just want to play video games all day. I just want to sit here and I want to hang out with my friends and play video games. And now the thought of even doing that sounds exhausting. Sounds crazy. It's crazy that the shift in such a small amount of time can make such a huge difference.
Yeah. What do you think you've learned from producing the podcast? Like, you've gotten to sit live in many of these, episodes that we've done. You have Fridays off today, and so we produce on Fridays when you don't have other work obligations. just to be clear. And, and then you've also like listened to, I think, every episode, even the ones that you weren't in. So what like from the podcast has been meaningfully impactful to your life?
I think the reality of seeing that, you have like a tunnel vision when you're going through something, and you don't think of what others are going through, so seeing all of the tragic stories, all of the crazy experiences that people feel, it kind of brings you back to reality. And after watching so many episodes of so many stories, that it helps you kind of be present. And the lady you interviewed about her child drowning, it makes me I want to be with my kids more, because anything can happen at any time. Not to live in fear, but just to live in the moment,
Yeah.
to live your life with the loved ones that you have, with the friends that you have, and just be present. That's, trying to put your phone down and spend time with the family, quality time. I've learned that that's something that a lot of us take for granted, and can really help mentally to get, to see people go through a hard time. Not saying that it's a good thing that they've gone through that hard time, but you can see that everyone's going through something. So live your life to maximize on everything that you have currently, because you never know what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah. That's well said. As you think about the, qualities or attributes of like we'll just use the wording true friend, because I think we all have many friends, some of us less than others. But like who the true friends are, right? And maybe even as it pertains to our relationship, like what are the qualities or attributes of me and our friendship that have helped you realize like that's a true friend?
Yeah. Reliability, love, carelessness. A lot of, like you said, a lot of friendships are like tit for tat. Like, I'm getting something out of it because you're getting something out of it. But as our friendship grew, it was more of like, I enjoy being around you. You know what I mean? I value that, whether it's going to a baseball game with the boys, or, like playing Fortnite with Jet and Heston and you, and talking trash. And it's just it's the little things that matter. Just because you have a friend that occasionally invites you to things, or that you text periodically, but it's like just being able to have that person that is just really just there for you. And I hope that I've shown you that I'm always there for you, and I know that you've shown me that you're always there for me.
Yeah.
There's no question that if I needed something, I could call you, or if you needed something, you could call me.
Yeah. I think another big one for us is like when the love for another friend is so deep, that doesn't mean that the relationship is purely rainbows and unicorns. And not that we fight ever, but I'll be the first one to tell you if I think you're slacking off as a father or a husband, or with your fitness or your diet or whatever, right? But it comes from such a deep place of like love and wanting to see you do well in life and improve, that I think that's an understated quality of just like really true friends.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I think something that would be interesting, just curious for you, because this is a bit of an unconventional interview, is is there anything that you'd want to ask me that would be interesting to talk about on the podcast?
Put me on the spot. What do you value most about our friendship? Like what comes to mind when you think of our friendship that really tells you that we are good friends?
I think it's that I think it's that there's a two-sided willingness to lift and love and support each other with no strings attached. And but there still is a give and a take, right? Like because I know how much value you bring to my life, I'm constantly thinking about how can I add more value to him, right? And I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Not that you owe me anything or I owe you anything, but it's like we both want to like serve and lift and help each other. Yeah. And I don't think that's very normal. I think that's pretty rare.
Yeah. I agree.
I can't think of many other relationships that I have that there's that type of pure, just like desire to lift each other up,
Yeah. It's the constant, I know for me at least, of like, if I have an opportunity and I have the ability to, whether it's invite you or have you be part of it, like you're the first person that pops into my head.
Yeah.
And it's a good feeling to also feel that from you as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think it's, probably a subset of that is, I think you want to be around other people that make you feel good. And I think all of us to an extent can be pretty misunderstood. And it's simply from most people. And it's simply because they don't know you at your core. They don't know you at sort of a bone identity level. But once you do, it allows you to like very unselfishly just want the best for the other person, want the other person to win. And you always want to make each other feel good, right? And so like, while we'll challenge each other and push back on areas that we know we need to improve, we're also like the first ones to compliment each other. And that's a good feeling, because I don't think that's the way most normal relationships work.
Yeah.
There's always a measuring stick, or you're like consciously or subconsciously competing with the other men in the room and who looks better and who's doing better and more money and more whatever. But it's like there's something really pure about just being able to be like, no, dude, you're doing awesome.
Yeah.
And I want you to win, and I want to help you win however I can,
Yeah.
So anything else?
Not off the top of my head. I can't think of anything. I'm not the interviewer here. This is not
kind of hard, huh?
It's not my cup. It's not my cup of tea here. You're the master interviewer.
What do you think that this has done, like this transformation you made has done for your marriage?
I mean, it's changed a lot. I mean, I've probably grown more in the last couple of years than I have in the last 10 years that we've been married. There's still a lot I need to do better. I'm going to be the first one to say that. Of course, it's been a little hard of not being home as much, because I am grinding and trying to build as much as I can and spending as much time as I can to better their lives. But even Ashley said to me the other day, she's like, I know you're doing a lot. I know you're, and I really appreciate it, but there are those times where it's like, I just want you to be home. And it's like, I will be, I'll be there. And it's, whether it's, like today, it's a Friday afternoon and my daughter had a play to go that for me to go to. And I was there, those things is like, I'll always be there.
Yeah.
And I think the mental change in me has really helped my wife Ashley as well, and she's seen a huge transition of, I guess before I was a boy and now I'm a man. I'm taking care of myself. I'm taking care of my family. I'm doing everything possible to provide the best possible life for them.
Yeah.
And that's really all I care about.
Yeah. Yeah. Your wife's amazing and a good friend of ours, obviously, but she still to this day often credits me for like who you've become. And it's like uncomfortable because I'm like, I go, Ashley, look, like this is all the work that he did, and I always feel that way. Like anytime I can influence somebody to better their life, and I think I've done that with a lot of men, people that I know and even don't know. Right. It's like, dude, like you had to do it.
Yeah.
I could help, I guess, set a good example. I could help provide the roadmap to go and, benefit your life and change your life. But at the end of the day, you have to do it. And I think you've probably seen that, mentality with me, even in some of the businesses that we've done together. It's like nothing comes for free.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want it to work, you want it to be successful, like you got to go do that. And I'll support it however I can, but I can't do it for you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. And it, whether it's getting in shape or building a business or whatever it takes, even building a podcast, being in the podcast space is like, it's a grind. You just got to put in the work, be consistent. Don't let it go. Cause once you let it go, it's so easy to just slip back into it. Yeah. I've maintained my physical health, but of course there's times where it's like you're on vacation and you want to just gorge yourself and eat whatever you want. And it's like, like the other day at work, they brought in donuts. I haven't had a donut in a while. And I was like, oh, that looks so good. And they had a key lime one. And I was like, I'm having this donut. And so I ate it and I felt so sick. I had the worst headache. And it's just those things that really make you realize like, okay, now I'm going to kick it back into gear,
Yeah.
And so it's a good feeling to have that thought perspective of it.
Yeah.
Because without that, it's like you're just going to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into the hole. But now it's like, before it would have been like, I just ate a donut, but I didn't relate that donut to the headache or my stomach hurting. It was just, I just don't feel good. But now it's like, I have that thought process. I've changed the way that I think through things.
Yeah.
And that's what helps me move on to the next step.
Yeah. I think that rewiring is super important. And one of the exercises we did at the Levels Retreat is called the I Am statement. Do you have yours?
It's written in the book that we have.
But not digitally. Dang. I wish we could have read that. What are some of the things you remember writing down in your I Am statement?
Yeah, it was more of just like my core beliefs. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I have an awesome family that I love. Like you said at the beginning, I can figure anything out. And I truly believe that I can figure anything out. If I put my mind to it, I can figure it out. Whether it's in my expertise or not.
Yeah.
My wife wanted a new dining room table. So I figured out how to build one for her. Of course, I got help from my dad because he builds furniture, but like I did a lot of the work and figured it out and learned by mistakes of cutting things wrong. It's just the things of I can figure anything out. So a lot of that was in it. I have a heavenly Father, you know, that's like probably one of the main core things is, you know, I have a Savior. He died for me. I can turn to him anytime I need him. And yeah, that's all that comes to mind, but I do have it written down. I need to put it in my phone so I can read it more.
Yep.
But it's in my nightstand in the little book that we got at the Levels Retreat.
So to wrap this, what do you want to share? I'd like you to address the audience directly about the power of influence with your circle of friends, right? Like, how important is it to surround yourself with people that are either at or going to where you want to go?
Yeah. So I think that's probably one of the most important things to do. The people around you have a huge effect on you. Whether it's, you know, if you're around people that are potentially depressed or anxious, it fills you with those same feelings. So if you're having a hard time in life, if you're not where you want to be, surround yourself with people that are where you want to be, and it will rewire you. It will change your life, and it will help you grow faster than ever. Just being around Tyler, being around the people at the Levels Retreat, being around all of the guests that Tyler's had on his podcast that I've been able to experience, just being around all of these people has brought me to a level that I never thought I could be, showing me that I do matter, that I do have self-worth, and that I can really do anything that I put my mind to.
Amen. That was fun. Thanks for
Awesome.
coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.